Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome once more to Retro Spectrum. I'm Ewan Spence, bringing you some of the classic Spectrum games and new releases for our friendly 8-bit computer. We're going back to another classic game today, and it is another one which I didn't experience the first time around. It is, of course, new generation software's Trashman, which, like Saber Wolf we had on a couple of weeks ago, is one of those games that just has a huge amount of love for it. And you look at it and you're going, you're just emptying bins. But I've been playing around with it and I think I know why. I kind of get Trashman, and it's all to do. It's all to do with Grand Theft Auto. Anyway, yeah, let me explain. We'll come to that in a second. And let's power up Trashman and get the game underway. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. There. So, first up, why Trashman? Okay, because this is on a British computer. It's a British release, so it should be Binman. And it should be a bin lorry, or not a trash truck and a trash man. I mean, that's a bit too American for me in that one. So, I mean, Trashman does have a nicer ring to it, you have to say, but it should be Bin Man. Right then, okay, so Kempson joystick, there we are. Situation requiring enter applicant's name. This caught me out when I was playing it first time on the live stream. You have to enter your name like it's a high score. Where are we? W. I like the fact that you have to do the high score table first, and you never have to enter it again. It actually remembers your name, so there's a benefit to that one as well. Okay, and there are no more details. We're going to Montague Road to start with, and it's relatively simple. You get the bins, so we'll head over and get this bin here. You automatically pick it up by walking over it, so there's no awkward controls or anything there. You take the full bin to your bin lorry because you're a bin man. The bin lorry will run away from you. That's just bad timing. You'll cross the road again without getting knocked over. Put the bin back where it belongs. And if you've done that without causing any making any mistakes, so things like stepping on the grass or going behind a bush, you can nip into the house and get a bonus. In this case, could you look at my TV? I meant mend it, not watch it. Fair enough. And then you go and do it with the next bin, and the next bin, and as you saw at the start of the level, there are 5 bins to get on Montague Road. And that is the essence of Trashman. Now, there's a lot of nice touches. For example, you have 3 different speeds. So if you are carrying a full bin, you're going very slow. If you're carrying an empty bin back, you're not quite as slow. And if you're just on your own, then you're moving at a nice speed. So you just run up the road there, nip over and get our 3rd bin. It's also quite... So, I missed it again. See if went too far. And here's where Trashman starts to win out. It's because it's all about trying to find perfection. You've got to try and find the best route possible through the game. You've got to try and find out what gives you the fastest route through. What is the route that gives you the least amount of mistakes? And you've got to be able to do it every single time, because it is really aggressive on the bonuses there. See, that way I went in just 1 game square below, so walked behind the hedge which has got hidden grass on it, and that means I'm not going to get my bonus on this run through. So you're not going to see the little person pop out of the house. And where it says bonus, it should really be time, because if your bonus goes to 0, game over. And in this first level, you can probably get 1 mistake out of the 5 houses, but you're going to need to get everything else spot on. And as you go through the later levels with more houses on the street, you'll find that it gets even tighter in terms of time bonus. And you can make a mistake on the first house and then 6 houses later realise that you're now just out of time, so you can't just run off the top of the screen there. Oh yeah, also I love the fact that it just does stop at the end of the level, waits for you for another key to play. Okay, so let's talk about perfection in Grand Theft Auto here, because the only other game I can think of right now that has you emptying bins is Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories on the PSP, where it was a mini game where you had to steal a bin lorry and find 30 bins, dodge around the city and empty them. There might be others, in which case leave them in the comments, but I think this is very much virgin ground for the gaming. So that's the first GTA link. The second one is Grand Theft Auto Online, which if you've got Epic Games you would have been able to get for free a month ago. You look at all the guides for that and it's talking about the perfect way to make money, the perfect, money per hour, and the most efficient way to run your business is selling bicycles and dealing in stamps or whatever else you do when you get higher up. And it's all about perfecting the best way of doing something. Now, in Grand Theft Auto, you're doing that to make in-game cash, but back in Trashman, you're doing that to get a bonus. You are trying to find the best way around that, and you're trying to replicate that every single time. There's, 30, 40 years difference between those games, 1984 through to 20... Well, nowadays it's 2020, but you're actually talking about 2014 release, so let's say 30, yeah? But they still both rely on the same hooks into your brain. That idea of you keep playing the game, you keep getting better, you find the perfect way of doing it and you replicate it, and when you replicate it, it feels good. And if you don't replicate it, you feel like you'll want to do it again. And you see the same quite a bit with things like speedruns for games, an example, where you're trying to remember the exact path, you're trying to go through and work through that way. Trashman, in a sense, is also about speedrunning. I mean, you can't run because you're carrying a bin, because you're a bin man. But it is about getting that right way through the game as much as possible. And I think this is why the game is so loved. Because it does tap into that sort of base instinct for gaming. But the interesting thing is, how do you define a game? If you're defining a game about those same things, then Trashman is just as much of a game as Grand Theft Auto. And also, comparatively, it's expensive as Grand Theft Auto, because 1984, people with a Spectrum, mostly games, mostly buying with their pocket money. So if you were smart with your pocket money or you had an extra paper around, you might be able to buy a game every 2 weeks. But for most people, myself included, you would maybe be able to save up enough to get one game a month. So you had to choose very carefully. And whatever game you bought, you were going to play a lot. So, with lots of magazine reviews and advertising, and get out of the way of the bike, yeah, whew. And the advertising in the magazine Trashman was well known to many people before you got into the shops. So then when you headed into the shops, don't step on the grass, see what I mean about missing perfection. So when you hit into the shops, you've got a little bit of money, you see Trashman, and it's been advertised, and it got good reviews, and of course it had good advertising. I thought that was going to sneak past me there. There we go. Yeah, half a square, and you're out. So you got the game, you got it home, and you played it, and you played it, and you played it, and you played it, because you weren't going to get another game for a month. This is long before cover tapes on the magazines as well. Which meant that this idea of finding perfection, finding the route through, became second nature. And I think that is why people still love this game, because they spent so much time investing in this game, and it tapped into the basic game mechanics that everybody absolutely loves. That when you go, do you remember Trashman? They remember that time that you put in. They remember that effort. They remember the satisfaction. Now, coming to the game with modern eyes, it looks really basic. Even when you look at later Spectrum games, this is using the sort of 24 by 32 grid. It's based on UDGs. There's color clash all over the space. It looks like an early retro game. It doesn't look like something like Jetpack, for example. But you start to play and you realise it's got those same hooks, the same skill and discovery, the need to get it right, that you find everywhere in games. It's not just a case that it's a matter of fighting demons. It's not that you're fencing stolen cars. It's not that you're replicating Le Mans 24. Fingers crossed, good luck, Jimmy Broadbent. You're a bin man. Bin man! I'm never going to let that go. Yeah, so it's an early game for the Spectrum, but it understood what game mechanics were far quicker than many other games. And those game mechanics are still valid nowadays because they're not dependent on cutting edge graphics or, realistic ray traced lights or nice sunsets in the background. It's all about getting the gameplay right. And if there's one thing Trashman has got right more than anything else, it is gameplay. And that means that the UDGs doesn't matter. The weird fact that the cars are doing the color clash and it's the magenta cars that always kill you doesn't matter. The game mechanic is working at the core of it, and if that works, everything else falls into place, and it does. Binman recommended. Trashman, well, might need to do a graphical patch on it. Yeah, go find it. Remember the perfection, or try and find it yourself. Ta-ra for now. Have you enjoyed this video? Would you like to see more? Before you click through to watch something else, why not follow the link to help me make more fun reviews, clips and content?